Well, today, millions around the globe witnessed a rare sight, a solar eclipse. Here in the United States, 26 states saw a partial eclipse. However, Europe saw the total eclipse. It was actually a very busy day for our solar system. Aside from the eclipse, 6 planets aligned. They were Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And there's also going to be a meteor shower later. Pretty exciting stuff. Harvard University astrophysicist and director of the Galileo Project, Dr. Avi Loeb, joins me now. Dr. Loeb, it's a thrill to have you on, especially on this great day. And I have to say, my undergrad astronomy class at Harvard was one of the most memorable I've ever taken, and I was an English major. So I got to get into this, though, of all of these things happening: an eclipse, a meteor shower, planets aligning, and we're not talking about astrology here. Is this just a coincidence?
It is a coincidence, but maybe not such a big coincidence, because the planets are orbiting in the same plane, and every now and then they do line up around in their orbit around the sun. In addition, it so happens that there is a perfect match between the angle that the moon occupies in the sky and the angle that the sun occupies in the sky. The sun is roughly 400 times wider than the moon, but it's 400 times farther away. This is a coincidence because the moon keeps receding away from Earth. And in about 600 million years, we will never see a perfect eclipse, a full eclipse. Also, if you go back in time, the moon was closer to Earth. In fact, 150 million years ago, the day lasted only 23 hours. There was 1 hour less for a day because the moon robbed the spin of the Earth as it moved out. And so a lot of things are just a coincidence, but we are very grateful for those coincidences, and it just makes our cosmic environment exciting.
It sure does. Dr. Loeb, now remind us how rare a solar eclipse is. Say in one person's average lifetime, how many might they see?
Well, if they travel, they can see a lot, but in a given location, it could be once every several decades or sometimes a century. For example, in Spain, it only happened roughly a century ago, and now it went there. So it's a coincidence when the shadow of the moon on Earth happens to cross a particular location. And, obviously, by itself, it's not an unusual phenomenon that the sun is being occulted by a rock. We have it every day, every 24 hours. Nighttime is because the Earth is blocking the sun. We can't see it on the night side. So, the phenomenon is well known every day. It's just that the moon happens to pass in front of the Earth in a particular location only every few decades.
Incredible. I mean, the last eclipse here in the United States was massive news. It was April of 2024, truly a cultural phenomenon. I remember everyone had their special glasses out, not their sunglasses. So should people maybe hang on to those special eclipse glasses that they had today for the next time, or could it be a long, long time before we see the next one, or are we crossing our fingers so we can see it?
They should definitely hold on, and in fact, there will be another eclipse next year. It's just that you need to travel to a place where it happens, and there are people who went to 20 eclipses over the past couple of decades.
They're eclipse groupies. That's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Can you imagine
exactly.
traveling around to follow eclipses? And where would be the best viewing potentially for the next one?
I think Spain again. That would be a good place. Just check. It's forecasted well in advance. In fact, it's forecasted many decades early, and you just need to check it online. One thing I would recommend is not selecting your spouse based on astrology.
Very good advice, and good news, I did not do that because I don't get along with Aries and I'm a Pisces. All right, but I don't know anything about astrology. All right, Dr. Avi Loeb, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.